everybody, I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Now you might be asking yourself, what does this guy with the channel name Raw Tropical Living, who lives in Costa Rica, know about doing the raw vegan thing in winter? And I'll be the first to admit, very little, because I do. I go back to the States around the holidays and deal with it for a couple of weeks, but that's about it. But anyway, I don't think it's all that big of a deal. And the weather apparently is starting to get a little chilly in some parts of the country, maybe in Canada. I don't know about Europe, but I just hear a few people, online rumbling about just actually they're in the good stage now. Nobody seems to be complaining yet that there's a little bit cooler weather. So, but I know that very shortly we will be having people talk about this subject. It's just tough to do this in the cold weather. I can't do this in the cold weather. Or asking questions about how they can do this in the cold weather. And it's perfectly doable. Although don't assume that what my message is going to be on this. I do think it's perfectly doable. If you need any, if you're really decided you're going to stay raw vegan during the winter, I would say watch Auntie Roz video. She talks about it a good bit. She talks about heating up the, like when you're making your soups and making things, like running them a little bit longer in the Vitamix. And I've seen some other tricks that she tends to throw out there on dealing with this. Now, I haven't really paid attention, so I can't give you any specifics because it's not of a whole lot of importance to me. So I haven't paid that close attention to that subject. Another one I know that stays fully raw in the winter, I'm 99% sure she does, is Tara over at 40 Below Fruity. That's another good place to look for tips and hints on staying raw vegan during the winter. It's perfectly doable. It may be a situation where you even have to have a little bit better plan than you normally do for staying raw vegan, but it's doable. It's just about, it's a mindset more than anything else. Now, here's where I want to talk about, in other words, I'm not trying to preach to you, you must stay raw during the winter, you should stay raw during the winter. I'm just giving you a few helpful tips if you are going to stay raw during the winter. Now, like I always talk about, I've done a number of videos where I talk about about my belief that stress is just as bad on the body or worse on the body than some of the things we put into it. So for that reason, I'm going to say, yes, you can be raw vegan during the winter, but if you don't want to be, do not beat yourself up over it, and do not stress. The biggest thing I'm trying to convey to people here is, if you can do it, and if you can do it effortlessly, or if you can even do it with just a little bit of effort, but I don't want to see you trying to stay raw vegan, fully raw during the winter just to be able to keep the label and it being a stressful situation for you, like you're constantly thinking of cooked, like, I want cooked, I want cooked, and it's causing you trouble. If you're thinking about it too much, well then probably the best solution to that would be just to eat some nice clean cooked food during the winter. I mean, people make it like it's this huge deal, but if it's going to keep you, listen, as far as here's my take on this. During the winter, if you're in somewhere cold, there are 3 possible outcomes. 2 of the outcomes, in my opinion, are both healthy, are both good. I'm not even sure one is that much more beneficial than the other. So you have 2 possible good outcomes, and you have 1 shit outcome. Now, I'd rather see you take either of the 2 good outcomes than end up falling into the shit outcome. The first is just to, you stay raw. You stay raw all during the winter and you don't have a problem with it. Or maybe you have minor problems, or maybe you think it would be nice to have cooked food, but it doesn't cause you a whole lot of psychological or emotional problem trying to stay raw during the winter. The next good outcome that could happen is you just decide, I'm going to eat some cooked food, Whether you can do it, and don't get into the debate in your head, can I do it physically? Maybe you can do it physically, but maybe it's just not comfortable psychologically and mentally for you to do it. So, so what if you have some steamed, I always say, if you're going to have the potatoes, this is neither here nor there, but if you're going to have the potatoes and you have the option, eat sweet potatoes. But just to have, couple of steamed sweet potatoes with your meal a couple of times a week, or have a cooked soup. is not going to wreck your health. You know, like, get off of this whole raw is law, gotta be raw all the time. I want my badge, I want my pin, I want my label. And you know, that could even be like a safety valve. You might even make, you could, you know, just play around with it. You know, like I say, if you need to eat some cooked food 2 or 3 times a week, eat that cooked food 2 or 3 times a week. But if you want to play with it psychologically, you might just set one day a week that, okay, on this one day a week at night, I'm going to have my, I'm going to have some cooked food, whether it be some sweet potatoes, some steamed vegetables, real clean, some soup. No matter what it is, you know that one day a week is coming. And sometimes that can be psychologically comforting, just knowing, you know, like, even though I want some today, you know, come Saturday night, you're going to have some warm for the week. So those are two good outcomes that can happen. Now here's the worst of all the outcomes that can happen. And I don't really want to be hearing these stories during the winter on social media. So if you do this one, just kind of, just deal with it in silence. Okay, you're gung-ho, stubborn. Nobody can get through to you that it's okay to eat a little bit of cooked food to get through the winter. You're stubborn, you're not going to do it, yet you're fighting it the whole time. Every day your body's asking you, please, I'm cold, I want some cooked food tonight. And you don't give in to this, and you say no, 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 I'm going to stay raw. And it's like that pot that's boiling with the lid on. The pressure builds up and it builds up and it builds up, and you explode, and you go to the shit possible outcome, which is you go off the rails so far because you've been holding it in that you eat something that's really garbage. You eat animal products, or you eat just some processed crap that just is absolutely horrible for you, just because you were so stubborn and you had to hold out and you had to try to stay to that raw vegan. Don't let that pierce the, do what's best for you. You know, I think a lot of people get caught up, even though we're grown-ups here, and kind of like the whole, like, you know, what your peers are doing. You know, and everybody around you is trying to do this and you want to keep up. But in the end, you need to take care of your body and you need to do what's good for you. So, like I say, right there, from the guy living in the tropics, who people sometimes want to, you know, people don't like us people living in the tropics. They just hate the fact that we moved here. So I have to be a little careful with what I say, or people are quick to jump on, but you live in the tropics. So I'm not preaching to you that you need to stay raw all winter long. That's a decision you need to make. But I don't want to see you doing it and stressing out and causing, you know, because to me the stress brings about acidity in the body. It's just heavy on the body, and I'd rather see you eat that cooked food than to stress over staying raw vegan all winter. But for the purists out there that are going to jump on every little word I say, let me stress again, you can do this. It's putting food in your body. And, you know, as far as the cold thing goes, that's what clothes are for. That's what hoodies are for. If you're cold in your house, throw a hoodie on. That's what I do. I'm like the old man. When I'm in the States, I've got more clothes on than you can shake a stick at. But you can do it. You can do it. Everything's pretty much in your mind. I mean, if you're to the point where you're saying, nope, you know, I can't do that, I have to put a food in my mouth, well, that's an addiction, and then that's another subject, which then you got to deal with an addiction. But you can pretty much eat however you want to eat. It's just a matter of making a plan either way. But don't beat yourself up. Don't give yourself a hard time. And if it really, even if you're going to try to stay raw vegan all winter, if it really, really, really starts getting tough and you're just really having, you know, all the little voices in your head telling you that you need to eat cooked, please, please steam a potato. Please steam some vegetables and keep it clean so you don't have that freak out. Anyway, just my 2 cents worth on how about doing the raw vegan thing during the winter, or, you know, just doing the best version of what works for you during the winter. Anyhow, I hope you guys like this video. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. Hope you'll subscribe to the channel, and if you would, please share this one, because I know this is a topic that a lot of people deal with, you know, and with the cooler weather coming up, just want to throw some ideas out there to as many people as possible. Hope you guys are getting off to a good start of a brand new week, and love each and every one of you. Peace.